Hello televiewers, and thanks for joining us on another edition of Prime Hour. I am Lasha Kingsley, sitting in for Leonard, and today we shall be focusing on the Cameroon diaspora. We are asking this evening if the Cameroon diaspora is a blessing or a curse. Case of the Anglophone crisis and the CRM political party. With all this evening, we already have our panelists in the studio to throw more light on this topic. On my left is Dr. Nick Nguyen. Doctor, thanks so much for accepting to be guest this evening on Prime Hour.
Thank you very much. It's an exciting topic. We hope that we'll be able to make some sense out of it.
And on my right, we have Mofo George. He is a consultant. Mr. Mofo George, thanks so much for joining us this evening.
The pleasure is shared, and thanks for welcoming me.
How was your day?
Well, it couldn't have been any better, just that we are still living on hopes. Even if all else fails, we still believe that tomorrow will be better.
All right. We still have Edmond Kouate, who is stuck in the traffic somewhere around Koto. He will be joining us as well in the studio to continue with the discussion. Doctor, I begin with you this evening. I want you to let our viewers understand the concept of the origin of the diaspora.
Well, origin as it is, I wouldn't tell. But if you're talking of diaspora, but probably the concept is as old as man. You know, when Mary and Joseph took Jesus and left their own homeland and went to Egypt, they became part of the Israeli diaspora in Egypt. You get the point? Each time someone migrates and leaves their own country, the concept of country, when you leave your own country and go to another person's country, for one reason or the other, it doesn't matter what the reason is. The simple thing is you left your own country and you went into some other person's country, and therefore when you go like that, you constitute part of the diaspora in that nation. And there are some expectations that people expect from you, and we'll go into all of that.
Okay, Dr. Mofo?
Yes, I think Doctor has said it in succinctly. We want to say a diasporan is actually someone who has left his home country and emigrated to another country and taken permanent or temporary residence. In most cases, it could be a forced situation or a voluntary situation. If we look at the immediate history, when we started actually recording history from slavery, you will discover that some persons were actually forcefully uprooted from their original bases to foreign land. If you move from there, you will go towards colonization or colonialism. These were other concepts that also led people to move based on some reasons, which probably was as a result of some of the nice stories that the colonialists came and told them. And then even during the what you might call post-colonial era, people continuously moved for other reasons now, but at this time probably it could be as a result of government sponsorship or through specialized programs for purposes of the fact that they didn't have the required technology or platform for them to acquire the necessary skills for their own country. And then today we are talking about the diaspora, which is mostly now an issue of what is commonly known in Cameroon as bushfalling. So from all of these various epochs that I have just made mention, you will discover that there have always been movement, be it voluntary or forced, but it is a continuous human activity, and I'm not sure even tomorrow it will come to an end.
All right, Doctor, we are talking the Anglophone crisis and the CRM political party issue that we've been having in Cameroon. Let's begin with the Anglophone crisis. When you look at the way the role of the diaspora in this crisis, what is your analysis of the Cameroonian diaspora when it comes to the Anglophone crisis?
I would like to say that we have about 1.5 hours, 2 hours to go, and we need to get to understand the diaspora and human behavior and expectations on many things, so that when we now go and then take the Anglophone crisis or the MRC and find out why they behave the way they are behaving, we will understand. If we don't go and dig under and look under the carpet, we'll call them devils or we'll call them angels, just depending on which side of the river bank we are standing on, without actually understanding why they are angels or devils. There's no point calling someone an angel or a devil. The bottom line is you must understand why the same person in the morning can be an angel and in the evening he's a devil. So it's very important for us to understand these concepts. And even before I came to the studio, I was just for us to understand a couple of things. I would ask the same question. Forget about diaspora. Is a knife a good thing or a bad thing? You see? Is a knife a good thing or a bad thing? Is a woman a good thing or is a woman good or bad? Should you marry or should you not marry? You know, we keep asking some of these questions, and you know, so before we even carry on again, I need to share something with you.
Yeah, right on.
Yes, a few years back, I was talking to some people. I don't know what I was talking to some people, or I read this somewhere, and there was something that was very catchy about the diaspora that stuck with me. And the man said, when Africans are coming back home from wherever they were, these diasporans, when they are coming back home, most Africans bring back containers. And you can understand that very well. You go to Ndobo, I was on Ndobo today, and it's very evident. They bring containers of all rotten stuff, and we are all there. Yeah. But when Asians are going back to their countries, they carry CDs. Do you know the difference? It's very interesting, and I'm sure George would understand this very well. So the question is, what are they carrying in CDs? Are they movies, or are they movie CDs? No, they're not movies. It's not music.
They're carrying probably technology.
They're carrying technology. That's what they're carrying. So, but us, when they're out there, and you know, a Cameroonian goes out there to America, and then he's there the whole time, and he gets lost into something. Even before I even go thrashing that, let me step back again. When we say diaspora again, we say you have, okay, case of Cameroon, you have left Cameroon and gone out of the nation. Where have you gone to? You could have gone to Nigeria, you have gone to Central African Republic, you could have gone to Ghana, or to Libya, or to Europe, or America, or Asia. But for the purposes of our discussion, we are not talking about those Cameroonians in Africa. Might be those of them who are stuck now in South Africa could be another subject of another discussion, because they're in a different boat altogether. We are not talking about the ones in Nigeria who ran away because of as refugees into Nigeria. That's a different cup of tea. But let us, for the sake of this discussion, let's focus on Cameroonians, those diasporans that are in America, Canada, and Europe. Then we'll get the story better. It will be very clear in our minds. And therefore, the question again, like George was trying to ask, why do people move? I'm not a Douala man. I left from Bamenda and came here. Why did I leave Bamenda to come here? Besides, even when I'm in Bamenda, I'm not a Bamenda man. I'm from Donga Manto. Why did I leave from Donga to go to Bamenda? Then today I'm in Douala and so on. Why do human beings move? And it brings us to the understanding of Maslow's hierarchy of needs again, which is a pyramid. It's a pyramid like that, and you have different needs of human beings. There are 5 levels, and when you're out of that triangle, there's a 6th level. And the 2 most important levels that are below here are the physiological needs, the need for food, the need for air, the need for water, the need for excretion, and shelter is the second one.
6?
Yes. In the second level, you have the need for security and safety. So those are the very basic ones, and you are going to realize that Cameroon is still struggling at these 2 levels. And that's why we're having a lot of problems. We have not even gone up to the 3rd one, which is love, giving love and receiving love. We don't have it. We have not even gone up to the 4th level, which is ego. And we've not even gone up to the 5th level, which is self-actualization, and let alone going to the 6th level, which is the transcendental phase. So it is our primitivity down here that is causing a lot of problems, and we need to deal with it.
Okay, more for George. What is your own appraisal of the diaspora?
Yeah, you again, Prof. Sorry, Doctor. I work in an environment where there are a lot of professors.
Prof.
A lot of them, but I'm sure he deserves that also. The issue there is historical, political, economic, which is today probably based on the structural realities of the world. We might not be looking at the diaspora story the same like the days of pre-independence or immediate post-independence, like what we are looking at today. You know, there are other elements that has come in today that has actually facilitated and even made migration a way of life, which we now talk about globalization. You know, with the advent of what you call soap operas, when you watch them, not even, I mean, this television, you watch what is happening in another country, you see those wonderful background of people acting in very exquisite environment, or they see people driving in, all those things. They are what we might call push forces that make especially aspiring, energetic, because when you look at the demographics, you even discover that most of the time the people actually migrate more. There are people between the ages of, they are in their 20s, that is between 18 and 35. They still have all the energy, they are the adventurers, they want to dare into, in fact, they don't have that type of obligations like somebody who would have already said that he or she has a partner, that has some children to take care of and all of those things. So there are people who have not yet found their feet. So they are moving, and the trend is, some people even use the negative pejorative concepts of talking about economic refugees. But again, if you discover and take it out even before the what is today probably economic based on some other reasons of poverty, disease and the rest, is also being exacerbated today by some political, we might talk about civil war, social disobedience and civil strife and all of those things. But the diaspora today is making a whole hell out news out there that's even threatening the whole Western Europe and the United States. If you see Trump struggling to build a wall, it's not only the Mexicans who are jumping into the US. You have Africans who pass now through Latin America to arrive at the US.
Okay, I will come back to you. Let's stay within the topic, Doctor. We're talking Anglophone crisis,
yes,
and the Cameroonian diaspora.
Yes.
The crisis started in 2016 with the teachers and the lawyers asking for reforms in the educational and the judicial sectors.
Yeah.
But the diaspora later on came in. When you look at the role of the diaspora today and what it used to be, can we say the diaspora is still very useful when it comes to development?
Correct. I'm glad that you've asked the second part of the question, which allows me to go and explain some other concepts for us to understand. Because when we finally come to deal with the diaspora as it relates to the Anglophone and problem and the CRM, the question is, we want to define the problem. We want to understand the problem so that we can bring up solutions, so that we can say, hey, you guys of the diaspora, you ought to be doing this.
Is the diaspora not exaggerating 3 years of lockdown? No school.
No. We'll get there. You are going to the leaves now, but we still have some root problems and some stems to deal with.
Can we address them so that our televiewers will get to understand what...
Correct. Let's leave the diaspora for now. Let us deal with some concepts. There are three groups of human beings in any community. We have the so-called the thinkers, people who think and are creative. They are just about 5% of any community. Only about 5% of them. They think and are very creative. Creative means they can see things that don't even exist and then bring them to light. They are problem solvers. Then you have about 35% of people who are in there. They're sandwiched between between these thinkers and a lower class. There's just about 35% of them. And this class of people are the average thinkers. They are average thinkers, and the characteristic of average thinkers is that they talk about events. So when an event takes place, then they will sit and discuss the event, thrash it down and so on, and leave it like that. So the thinkers talk concepts and are creative. The average person, those people with average minds, they discuss events. Then you have the bulk, 60% of the people. What they do, they discuss people. They tell you, Madam Minister was wearing a red dress today. I don't think I liked her earrings. You know, her hair was funny and that kind of thing. And then she has a problem with her husband. You see the kind of cheap talk, Mimbo house talk, as they say it. So we have these three groups of people. So we have them in Cameroon here. And when you go to look at the diaspora that is out there, they come from this community, this environment, and you have the same three groups that have shifted themselves into America, all right? And when you are here and listening to them, you get the impression that just because someone else in America is more intelligent than you, or he has more to offer than you, is not true. It depends on which class of people he belongs to, and it depends on what drives him. What are his expectations from life and what drives him? And to check that out, I would say that if you have some friends of yours who have been to America or family members, and you know how they used to behave here in Cameroon, you will realize that they are behaving the same way in America. And if they were not achievers here in Cameroon, they are not achievers in America. If they were not disciplined in Cameroon, they will not be disciplined in America. And to achieve anything, number one, you must be disciplined. You must know what work is. You must know how to solve problems and so on. So if you left Cameroon and ran away because you are a failure, and you go to America, it will stick with you because you cannot run away from your shadow. I was trying to make this one very clear so that we don't take the diaspora as one group. Because in America, we have some great guys there. We have some there who all just sit and drink their Mimbo and their Guinness and very happy when they're drinking a Trantois. And then we have them there who are just losers. So we need to be very clear on this. I don't know whether that helped, George. Probably you can help me and carry on from there.
Yeah. Like the doctor is saying, if you even try to profile the people who are mostly on the street with placards and
most of them are doctors.
Please, I'm sure that's the error that you people make.
They are doctors.
Most of them. People who are busy, they will not have time to go have been protesting on the highway. It's the same thing as in Cameroon, like doctor is saying. If you look at most times, the people who are actually at the forefront on a daily basis complaining, that the people who are not economically, socially, or politically occupied. They have, because no employer will allow
most
you.
Most of these guys, they own their own businesses. Most of these guys.
You see,
I would not like to call names, but we know them.
Excuse me, this is the error that we make. Look at even the, let me just first of all paint the situation in Cameroon that you can be able to transpose it outside there. Can you imagine somebody actually in Douala locking up his shop to go on the highway and be carrying a flag from morning to afternoon? It is not possible. What we are trying to say,
they don't do that every day. They don't do that every day.
What I'm trying to let you know is that there are professionals who are permanently people who are angry with themselves. If you look at, we are doing a study now, especially with the Nigerian population in Cameroon. If we go and find out why they left Nigeria and came to Cameroon and what they are doing, whether they would like to go back, they will hardly say anything positive about their country. The same thing transposed for most of the people who are actually going and staying in other countries. Look at yourself in your own small domestic sphere. Are you happy actually staying in another person's house when you should have your own house? So the issue here is, it depends on, a doctor has actually said, discipline, problem solver. It means that you will not be driven from remote control. You will be rational. Yes. Every action that you take, it will be based on a deliberate decision that this action I'm taking is based on a defined or predefined outcome that I want to achieve. Yes. It will not just be spontaneous. It will not just be something that because you hear that every person is going to this direction and you are carried by the wind. And so from that perspective, I want to say that we are treating a topic this evening whereby we are talking about a community of persons. Yeah. Today, there is a crisis that we have, called it Anglophone crisis. And it has become a real a topical issue because of the social media. And why is it that it becomes the social media? If you look at the environment where the diaspora operates, especially in the US, what we pay here for communication and the rest, it is virtually free. There are many places in the US that you can enter in a library or a municipal. But
the question most people are asking, why do we tend to believe in those guys?
No, when you say we, again, it presupposes that it answers the question that I'm saying, that those people who are believing here is people who don't have choices. I've asked you, sitting here as somebody who is hired by Prime House or this television house, can you actually leave your job and go and be marching on the highway?
If the need arises.
No, you see, let me jump in.
Mr. Mufo, yes. Some people will tell you that it is because the ground is fertile for such things to go on. Because if the grounds were not fertile, people will not tend to believe or follow those guys abroad.
I'm happy you're talking about the ground is fertile. Fertility, you're talking about productivity, not so. And for you,
I'm talking about the way those ideas are being nursed. They are being nursed on fertile grounds. Because if the grounds were not fertile, the people wouldn't be believing in those guys abroad.
When you talk about fertility, you are talking about return on investment, which means that if you put 5 francs, you are going to get 10 francs. That's fertility, because it means that something is productive. What I am saying is that it takes a disciplined workforce. It takes an intellectual workforce. It takes energy. It takes people who can sit and design and move out there to negotiate how it can be transformed to something concrete.
No, I'm talking about people believing in the ideas coming from the Cameroonian diaspora.
You are just going back to the same thing I told you about the media effect.
Yes. Can I step
That's
in?
the media effect that I told you.
Can I step in and share your point? You see, that's why I've been sharing this background information, because when we understand that information, we'll understand some of the things that are going on, and we'll know why people behave the way they do. Now, for those of you who have been listening to me for a long time, I have said it and I keep saying it, that our education is useless. That's where we start with that. Our education that we've been having in Cameroon for a long time is no good. And then, most of our people who have trained in our system, they now go abroad, okay? But when they go abroad, many of them, you remember those my percentages, the 5%, the 35%, and the 60%. The 5% and those of the 35%, they can reorientate and find themselves. The other 60% don't. You get what I'm saying? And they end up in the other job, the $10 per hour job and so on, and they keep doing things and so on. And they are canon fodder. Now, for us again to understand what is going on, let us ask ourselves some questions and look at ourselves in the mirror. Just think for the last 30 years. Let's take some schools. Take Sacred Heart Bamenda. Take Our Lady of Lourdes. Take CPC Bali. Take the Honor and Income, St. Beats. And then Sir Joseph Rogan. Those Baptist schools. Those schools that are very strong, who have been pumping out children with 11 papers, 11 grades. Then
25 points.
The A-levels, they have 25 points and so on. Now, don't blame the government, don't blame anybody. Let's just look at those people. The question is, let's do a study for the past 30 years and bring this group together, and they should give us a balance sheet of who they are and what they have achieved. All right? I will tell you that they have failed. They did very well in school.
Who is to blame?
Great, that is the point. We have to answer that. I'm saying so. I'm driving at something. We don't come to sit here just to discuss. It's because we want a kind of an education to go out there. Because when we grab that education and understanding, we'll be able to solve our problems. We'll be able to help our children, and we'll be able to be bringing peace. Because what you are seeing in Cameroon now, you can blame President Paul Biya and many other things. That's fair, and that's fair. Okay, great. But the real problem is, collectively as a nation, we are not productive.
Okay, Doctor.
All right? Collectively as let's
go for our Prime's info. We'll be right back after that.
Formerly was a British colony, because Cameroon had been two former colonies, British and French. They came together, they voted for one country under a federation, but the federation was done away with Cameroonian president. So now the Anglophones are basically fighting for their rights, which started with very serious complaints, and unfortunately the government of Cameroon has not responded in a way that would assuage the concerns of the Cameroonians.
The U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Tibor Nagy, has stirred another uproar in recent discourse. Addressing the press last Thursday in Houston, Texas, the American diplomat insisted that there is an effective civil war going on in former British Southern Cameroons. He added that after the fall of Sudanese President Omar el-Bashir, Cameroon is next on the U.S. agenda. Before his walking visit to Africa last month, Nagy reiterated that the government of Cameroon has been totally ineffective and that some of the actions taken to resolve the crisis in the two English-speaking regions of the country have worsened the situation, leading to highest recorded casualties of all times in that part of the country.
He has been in charge of Cameroon, I think, longer now than I believe any other serving African head of state. The more fundamental problem, and in my view, the more existential problem for Cameroon is what's going on in the Anglophone region. The government has been totally, in my view, ineffective in addressing that. Some of their actions have actually worsened what is going on there. There's been just a mounting cycle of violence from both sides. The radicals in the Northwest, the ones who call themselves the AMTO boys.
It should equally be recalled that during Nagy's 3 days walking visit to Cameroon last month, the American diplomat overlooked the socio-political problems of Cameroon and rather focused on strengthening economic ties between the two countries, dashing away the hopes of many Cameroonians who believed his coming to Cameroon was to mount pressure on Biya's government to solve the Anglophone crisis as well as release Professor Maurice Kamto. Amongst all the contradictions, many Cameroonians keep wondering who Nagy is and what his motives are.
Brian a 12 ans, il est au cours moyen 2 et depuis le mois de septembre 2018, le rituel est le même, surtout les jours de classe comme c'est le cas ce lundi 15 avril où à 7h, il a tenu à respecter ses habitudes de bon écolier. Ce sera la première fois pour le 3e trimestre qui a débuté ce jour. Son petit frère Michel, après 2 semaines de congé, retrouve aussi timidement la route de l'école, contrairement à son grand frère qui n'a pas eu droit à ce moment de répit. Dans cette école qui affiche fière allure au quartier Logbesso à Douala, les enseignants ont renoué avec le traditionnel tableau noir avec pour réflexe premier rappeler la date du jour. Les encadreurs qui reconnaissent l'importance de ce dernier trimestre, considéré comme tournant critique durant l'année scolaire, essaye de briefer un bilan et l'état d'esprit afin d'appréhender le calendrier des examens. Extrait.
And we've made sure that in that September we recruited a good number of teachers, qualified teachers. And that's where they work along with the children. If we look at in every class, we've made sure that first term, second term, we've made sure that most of them, they give us the best results. That is why in most of the classes, if you see the least average in class we have is 12, which is giving us assurance and the parents equally. Because in our school, we collaborate with the parents to make sure that whatever we are doing in school, they know at home.
Si le bilan paraît précoce, l'heure est tout de même à la concentration. Le troisième trimestre étant bref et décisif, c'est une course contre la montre pour les élèves conscients d'avoir fait un mauvais démarrage en début d'année académique. Pour ceux des classes d'examen, la concentration sera plus doublée vu l'engagement qu'on a dû prendre, qui est celui de briguer la prochaine étape de son parcours scolaire. Sinon, on peut toujours continuer à dormir au premier banc.
The 2019 Limbe Festival of Arts and Culture that opened on April 6, 2019 in the town of Friendship has come to a close, with a melange of Cameroon ministers congratulating the inhabitants for braving all odds. The festival that took place amidst security concerns emanating from pro-secessionist fighters was able to rally about 3,000 persons during its opening ceremony. Cameroon Minister of Culture, Bidung Pat, as well as Cameroon's Minister of Secondary Education, Dr. Nalova Lyonga, saluted the efforts of the government delegate to the Limbe City Council, Andrew Mutanga Mujimba, who, alongside the efforts of his people, ensured a successful 6th edition. The Limbe Festival of Arts and Culture is a unique one who has over the years created an avenue for sons and daughters of the 10 regions of Cameroon to express their pride and sense of belonging by portraying the originality of their various cultural heritage. As it is the tradition, this year's festival featured the Miss Festa competition, traditional wrestling, canoe race, and a visit to the Bimbia slave trade village, amongst others. Let's take a rendezvous for 2020.
Le 15 avril est la journée mondiale consacrée à l'art. Au Cameroun, cette célébration est peu connue, pourtant le Cameroun est l'une des pépinières artistiques du continent. Considéré comme le pays de la guitare basse à cause de la virtuosité des artistes tels que Richard Bonnat, Étienne Bappé ou encore Jean Dikoto Mandengue, qui a accompagné les grands de la chanson française, à l'exemple de Claude François. Ce jour devrait donc permettre à ce qu'on fasse le point sur la question de l'artiste camerounais dans son sens global. Pour ce qui est de la musique, l'épineux problème du droit d'auteur tarde à trouver une solution, d'où la clochardisation du musicien malgré son talent. Pour le cinéma, malgré son éclosion et son réveil, les salles de cinéma ont fait la repentance au point de donner leurs âmes aux églises de réveil qui y font désormais leur cinéma. Ne parlons pas du théâtre qui manque de planches pour s'exprimer. Le patrimoine musical est bafoué. Ici, on coupe et on décale avec le bikoutsi et le makossa. Bref, la musique locale perd la véritable identité au profit des autres musiques pourtant bien représentées dans leur pays. L'art contemporain, quant à lui, est relégué à la débrouillardise, les artistes malgré la floraison des galeries.
Il y a un avantage pour un artiste à exposer dans des galeries. Et dans des galeries, pourquoi? Parce qu'il y a plus de notoriété, elles sont plus visitées par les professionnels de la chose, quoique ouvertes au public, elles sont visitées par les professionnels de la chose. Et pourquoi pas? Beaucoup d'opportunités sont derrière. Ça peut être un contrat qui est signé avec des galeries internationales, des galeries en Afrique ou ailleurs. Donc, il est recommandé à un artiste de valoriser son travail en exposant dans les galeries. Il peut exposer dans les galeries, vous êtes d'accord avec moi que ça demande la qualité derrière tout ça, parce que c'est des professionnels qui visitent les galeries. Pour ma part, il est important pour un artiste de côtoyer les galeries.
Le 15 avril étant la journée consacrée à l'artiste depuis 2012, sous l'initiative de l'International Association of Art, nous souhaitons bonne fête à tous les artistes, espérant qu'ils n'afficheront plus la mine triste, mais nous servirons davantage de l'art. The indomitable Lions of Cameroon will play alongside Ghana, Benin and Guinea-Bissau in Group F during the 2019 African Cup of Nations in Egypt. The 2019 AFCON draws, which were made public last Friday in Cairo, Egypt, involved the 24 teams in a dogfight as the so-called weaker opponents and the bigger guns will tussle to clinch the 32nd edition of the African Cup of Nations. The other draws involved Egypt, DR Congo, Uganda and Zimbabwe in Group A, Nigeria, Guinea, Madagascar and Burundi in Group B, Senegal, Algeria, Kenya and Tanzania in Group C, Morocco, Ivory Coast, South Africa and Namibia in Group D. Meanwhile, Tunisia, Mali, Mauritania and Angola will lock horns in Group E. Group D has been tipped the group of death with 3 former winners, namely Morocco, South Africa and Ivory Coast, to face each other. Meanwhile, Namibia, considered the underdog, certainly has a statement to make. The favorite teams per each group involved 7-time champions and 2019 host Egypt, Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana, Senegal, Morocco, Tunisia and Ivory Coast. Meanwhile, Burundi, Madagascar and Mauritania will make their first appearance in an AFCON tournament. The Confederation of African Football, through the voice of its president Ahmad Ahmad, has attributed the 2020 African Cup of Nations for home-based players to Cameroon. The decision that was made public after a CAF executive meeting, which also saw the naming of Muad Achi as CAF's General Secretary, states that CHAN 2020 was withdrawn from Ethiopia and directly attributed to Cameroon after a tacit agreement so as to permit CAF and Cameroon better prepare for AFCON 2021. The first edition of the revised 16 instead of 8 teams CHAN will be held in Cameroon in 9 months' time to better fine-tune and cover up all organizational loopholes when the big event comes calling in 2021. However, the news has been received with mixed feelings amongst Cameroonians because not only has AFCON projects been going on a very slow pace due to unpaid salaries, the country still has security concerns. And barely 9 months to go, the time for serious preparation is now, so that the second gift handed to Cameroon by CAF shouldn't be a poisoned one.
Welcome back, televiewers. You are watching Prime Hour coming to you on My Media Prime Television. We are live on our headquarters here in the nation's economic capital, Douala, precisely at Fengudrom Mbange. Before we continue with the discussions in the studio, we have to go find out what the papers are saying today. We'll be right back. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us on In the Press on Prime Hour. On what is making news today in Cameroon, the media outing of U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Thibault Nagy last Thursday in Houston, and the Anglophone crisis dominate most newspaper headlines today. We begin with the Guardian Post newspaper. The Guardian Post says SDF district chairman accuses party of double standards. Meanwhile, the World Bank has offered to assist IDPs and refugees of the Anglophone crisis with a sum of 100 billion francs CFA. Still in the Guardian Post now to talk the just ended March session of Parliament, the Guardian Post says MPs hail Public Works Minister Emmanuel Ganon Jumisi for major road construction projects. Amid growing threats of peace and living together, the Guardian Post reports that Minister Mba Acha has rallied Northwest women in Yaoundé to preach peace and living together. Now to Le Gideon newspaper. Le Gideon on its part headlines. Fon Mukete urged to quit Senate and call Anglophone patriots for strike at the presidency. This comes barely a week after the eldest member of Senate took the upper chamber of Parliament by storm on the Anglophone crisis. Still on the Anglophone crisis, to talk the activities of the Anglophone militias in Libya Lem division, the case of Red Dragons, Le Gideon paints a picture of how the said group escaped from being wiped out of the division by defense and security forces. Now to La Voix du Centre. La Voix du Centre headlines. Program for the fall of African dictators. The paper quotes U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Thibault Nagy as saying, after the fall of Sudanese President Omar el-Bashir, Cameroon of President Paul Biya is the next preoccupation of the United States government. The U.S. diplomat made the revelation Thursday during a press conference in Houston. On to L'Avocat newspaper. L'Avocat takes on ritual killings or crimes of rituals in Yaoundé involving some sitting ministers. According to L'Avocat newspaper, some sitting ministers have been involved in the trade of human heads and sex organs for ritual purposes. L'Avocat equally says the files of the said government officials are nowhere to be found at the National Gendarmerie headquarters where the investigation is ongoing. Still in L'Avocat newspaper to talk public works in the domain of road construction. The paper headlines, what Ngano Njumisi told MPs. Responding to questions from lawmakers, Public Works Minister presented government efforts so far in some road construction projects in the country. Now to Emergence. Emergence goes back to the press conference granted last Thursday in Austin by U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Thibault Nagy. Emergence quotes Nagy as saying, after Sudan, I am going to take care of Cameroon. L'Emergence also reports on the draws of AFCON 2019. The paper says Cameroon to clash against Ghana in Group F matches. On to Info newspaper. Info says the Speaker of Cameroon's lower house of parliament, Honorable Kavayege Jibri, has criticized Western countries for protecting what he called secessionist leaders. The paper also says the CRM political party to sue Minister Tanganji Paul for abuse of power. The Info also headlines, Thibault Nagy stays another uproar in recent discourse. The Info also headlines, Thibault Nagy stays another uproar in recent discourse. The paper also reports that SDF Senator Lotz von Mukete's stance on federalism. Now to the Post newspaper. The Post reports on the Ambazonia Berlin conference. According to the Post, leaders have called off school boycott but cautioned parents against insecurity. We remain with the Post to talk about the 2 days walking visit to Douala of Secondary Education Minister Professor Nalova Lyonga. According to the Post, Minister condemns students' assassination at Government Bilingual High School GBHS Deido, says criminals are invading schools. The Post also says government has been petitioned to probe slaying of civilians, violence in hospitals. Now to L'Heure du Sahel. The paper headlines, National Assembly. The paper says micro grants of MPs have been slashed. The paper also zooms on the first 100 days of Manaoda Malachi at the helm of the Ministry of Public Health. Details on page 11 of this Monday edition of L'Heure du Sahel. Still in L'Heure du Sahel to talk terrorism. The paper reports that over 40 members of the terrorist sect Boko Haram have been arrested by security and defense forces in Maroa. Stay tuned with Kum Leonard for Welcome back, televiewers. Joining us in the studio is Edmond Kwate. Edmond Kwate, Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, doctor. Good evening, Mr. Mofa. I'm sorry, I arrived late, traffic jam and so on, so I arrived late. I'm sorry, but the program is ongoing. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. We're talking the Cameroonian diaspora vis-a-vis the Anglophone crisis and the CRM political party issue that we're having. What analysis?
Well, before I entered the studio, I was following part of the debate, and then I was following what Doctor was saying and Mr. Mofa was saying. First of all, I would like to, underline that we should not portray our diaspora as, a bunch of idols people, people who are doing nothing, a bunch of idiots. People who are just idle. Somebody said it's because if they were busy doing something, they wouldn't have found time to go in the street, demonstrate in the street. No, I think they have a particular day or a particular time they demonstrate in the street. Most of these guys are very educated guys. Most of these guys, they are very busy. They're doing. Some are employed in good companies. Some are, having their own business, running their own business, and so on. But what I would like to say is that for the diaspora is like what? It's like a weapon. And a weapon, if you don't use a weapon against somebody, definitely somebody will use that weapon against you. You got to be very careful. Some countries that have succeeded actually in using their diaspora well, in the good way, they have succeeded. There is something very crazy that has been going on in this country, and people have been talking about technology transfer. It means nothing. If you see the way Chinese in the years 90s, Chinese
when you
have
say
been,
technology transfer, what do you mean by that?
No, people are thinking that technology is a letter that they will put into an envelope and then put it somewhere and then transfer it into Africa. It doesn't exist. There are two ways of having technology. Either you have enough money to buy it, or you cheat, you steal it. And that's what Chinese have been doing through their diaspora. It means when you receive a scholarship in China to go and study in Europe, in the United States, you have a mission. You are under a mission. You have a mission. You have to bring back something home. It means the government is following you day in, day out, year in, year out. If you have a 4-year study, they are following you. And they will make sure, you should make sure you achieve the mission. Apart from your study, apart from the knowledge that you've gone there to acquire, there is something they expect from you. If you have studied and then you have a training in a particular company, there is something. And let me tell you, Chinese government has invested a lot of money to send students abroad, Europe and United States. And they send them with a particular mission apart from the knowledge they were sent to acquire. They had a particular mission. And this is why you see there is a war now going on between China, United States and Europe because of this industrial espionage. Because they have been spying the technology of Europe. They have been spying the technology of United States. A lot of things. You have heard that Huawei, for instance, has been banned in United States. Huawei has been banned in Europe.
When you look at the Cameroonian diaspora, do they meet up the expectation?
No, at all. The first that in the 90s, after the independence, immediately after during the first regime, IJO was trying to follow up people, Cameroonians who were actually studying abroad.
So are you saying that the Cameroonian diaspora has failed today?
No, they have failed completely because these guys out there, nobody knows. Some
what expectation do you have for that?
Many of them, I know many of them. I was abroad myself. I know most of them. They have received scholarship. They have gone abroad. They have studied. Nobody even cares whether they come back or not. They're still staying there. Some of them will complain that, okay, if we go back to Cameroon, we will not find a job, we will not find a good job, the environment is not good, we cannot, even if one will start a business of our own, it will not be possible because of the environment is not good, which is not wrong. Sometimes they are right, because you don't expect somebody who has, been abroad and then he has studied, he has acquired a lot of, knowledge, and then you expect him to come back and then be living. I would say thanks to Doctor. Doctor he has been trained abroad. Just like we had that courage to come back. Don't expect anybody to come back. Because when you go there, when they come and then they see the way you're managing, and then they see.
So what are you proposing? What can be done to make sure that when people go out, they come back to their countries?
That is why I'm saying that there must be a philosophy when we are sending people abroad. There must be a mission. When we are sending people up, we should not just send them like that to go and acquire knowledge, and nobody cares what they become later. There must be a spirit behind this. We must know why are we sending them abroad. If you are sending somebody abroad to become a medical doctor, it's because you have a plan for him. Because maybe you say, okay, in the next 3, 4, 5 years, I need this kind of specialty in the medical sector, and then you send people. And then you say, okay, today I will send 10, 20, or 30 guys abroad to study this particular, and then you give them a particular mission. And when they meet the target, you bring them back home, and then you arrange a good environment for them to return. That is what we have to do. Don't just send people like that. What I'm saying, again, the diaspora, somebody who has acquired knowledge, he become very dangerous. Either you use him for your own good, or somebody will use him against you, and that is what is going on today.
All right, thank you. Somebody will use him against you. This question to you, Mr. Mofo: how can the diaspora be part of solution to these issues that we are facing in Cameroon today, especially the socio-political upheavals in the northwest and southwest regions?
Thank you very much. I'm happy with the intervention of Mr. Kwati. Except for the fact that he gave the impression that every diasporan went out as a result of government sponsorship. I think they constitute, for some reason, about 5 to 10%. A majority of the diasporans today, they are actually people who have gone out
through American lottery,
or their parents have sold their property, taken big loans.
And you think that that's the more reason why they don't want to come back to this in Cameroon?
And then again, he said something very, very peculiar and very important. You see, you don't train yourself. The certificate that they give you is your name that is written on it. It is you that valorize that certificate. It is you that advocate for that certificate. It is you that ensure that certificate is relevant first for yourself and then for your community. Now, see it this way. You ask the question, how can they contribute to the contribution of the political situation of Cameroon today? They are already contributing somehow. Unfortunately, for them to contribute, somebody should be on the other side ready to accept their contributions. Most times, this diaspora, if you even look at our GDP, simply put, I'm not sure any year the Cameroon government drawing up its budget has ever put a percentage to say that this is the contribution of the diaspora population in our GDP. It is not represented. They are not visible. So from that perspective, they don't even see themselves obliged to be seen as effective player. But now let us look at the informal trend, whereby most of the diaspora, in terms of what they call now cultural groups, unfortunately, again, I want to say what is actually the routine outside there is that we have carried our bad manners from Cameroon and exported it there, that we are still living according to along tribal lines. You discover that if you go out there to America, you will see association of Mali people, association of Bangore people, association of Bangante and all of that. That is not how a diaspora can constitute itself. If the diaspora wanted to actually be consistent and constitute themselves to a lobby, they would have actually created, simply put, a diaspora development fund. Whereby if they have this diaspora development fund,
they have been sending money.
That is
most of them have built roads in their villages.
You have gone back to the same thing. If a minister does that in this country, you criticize that minister that why is he concentrating only in his community? We are talking about diaspora development of Cameroon. And Cameroon is not a village. You have to look at diaspora from the perspective of citizenship. How are they contributing if we are saying that we are going towards a local or decentralization, what can be the role of the diaspora in terms of quantity and quality? How can they constitute themselves now in terms of human resource based on what they see practicalized in other countries outside there, how can they transpose that? Remember, Mr. Kwate talked about technology is not something that you're going to put in an envelope, but it's in you. It is in the scholarship that you've had, it's the education that you've had, it's the exposure you've had. How do you put it into practice? A certificate is only relevant where it is seen being used, solving a local problem in your community. That's why today we talk about global localization.
All
which
right.
means you take the global to the local.
Today we talk about global localization. Let me turn to Doctor. Doctor, my question to you. Why is it that you've visited so many countries? You've been to the United States, you've been to Finland, and many other countries. Why is it that the Chinese and the Asians are doing better in the US than Africans?
Yes, that is something that we must accept. You know, we are saying these things, they might be hurting, but we need to look at ourselves in the mirror, otherwise we'll never change. You know, when you go like to America, you have there's the China village, they have their Chinese settlements, they have all these settlements. And if you go to London, if I'm wrong, correct me, if you go to London now, there are so many Indians and Asians there, to the extent that some of the Indians are becoming the mayors of London. You see that they are taking over.
We currently have a Nigerian who is an MP in the UK.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. So what we are saying is that these people are so active, and they are so focused, and they know why they are there, and they know what they are going for. They don't just exist. They have a plan. But we just float. That's the problem. Someone might think that we are being negative towards our diaspora. We are not. We are just trying to say and bring out those things that we need to correct so that we are more effective. Because, you know, if you look at the diaspora again, to understand that diaspora, you know, like in Cameroon, we talk of the 11th province. You know the concept of the 11th province. So the diaspora is the 12th province. It's a huge force to reckon with. It's like having, you know, these river falls and streams and so on, which is a lot of force, and you don't have electricity because you don't know how to harness those. So the diaspora, if we want to develop in Cameroon, if we want to grow in Cameroon, we cannot afford to neglect the diaspora. It's very important. Let me say this again. You know, we've been talking about the diaspora and the Cameroon relative to politics, but that diaspora would solve a lot of problems relative to politics, but by also correcting the economy and our development. In the sense that, you know, from biology, this concept called the cross-pollination. Cross-pollination is, you know, it's that thing that keeps living things going. You know, if you have a family where brother marries sister and so on and so forth, sooner or later the family would die because their diseases will kill them. But so cross-pollination is you bring genetic material from across here and put it together, and whatever comes out of it is stronger, and it keeps growing like that. So in terms of our technology and acquiring technology and knowledge and savoir-faire, our diaspora should be like the Asian diaspora that goes out there and understands technology and then comes back here to feed us. You know, a few years ago, I got a little bit disturbed. You know, like during the Christmas time, you know, you see a lot of our young men coming. And there was this, I could hear this boy saying, well, they will not know the change. You know, this will not know the change. And I turned and I was looking at him and I asked him, who do you want to change, Bamenda? Actually, you were there. You are the one who is supposed to come back and change the thing. But if you don't change it, Tico will remain like Tico, Limbe will be Limbe. So nothing will change until you cross-pollinate by bringing in industry and savoir-faire.
All right, Doctor, let us take some messages that are coming in. This one says, Anglophones are not all that stupid like some people think, and so cannot be easily brainwashed. So if many Anglophones today support the diaspora, it is because they have been matching their words with actions. That's why I can confidently say 90% of Anglophones today are separatists. If you carefully follow what Thibaut Nagy said in his last outing, you will understand that he has been well informed by the separatist leaders. Fokala from Douala. Please, we don't take calls. We receive only SMS. And this one says, the government has failed in building the love for nation. The person didn't send his name. This other one says, hi, my Media Prime, I am John in Bamenda. I am disappointed with your guest in the studio. Let me say that any person that identifies he or herself with CPTM does not have anything to offer to Cameroon, because the situation we find ourselves in today is because of people like Dr. This other one says, nice discussion. A question to Mr. Mofo. Do you mean to say that those who go out massively to protest against a useless regime or because of unresolved dehumanizing problems, as we have seen in most recent times in Algeria and Sudan, were all jobless people? According to your input, no one can leave his business to go out for public demonstration as our brothers and sisters of the diaspora do, Tarawiri in Kitiwum. This other one says, nice discussion. The same message. This other one says, Cameroon being what it is today is thanks to the diaspora. We have a corrupt and bottleneck government who will do anything to maintain their interests. The BR regime arrests discriminately, which prevents people from saying the truth for reasons of the above. The Anglophone course of action could have long been left alone to the hands of teachers, lawyers, and trade unions. Thanks to these guys, the Anglophone crisis is well known and gone internationally. Mr. Mighty from Kumba.
Can I just comment about it?
Yes.
I want our televiewers.
Just 1 minute.
Yeah. I want our televiewers to understand something. We are. You know, when I started, I said let's examine and understand the diaspora. Then we now bring it to the Anglophone problem. We are not saying that the diaspora has not helped in bringing solutions and opportunities to the Anglophone problem. But we need to do better, and we need to understand the concept better. And by talking about it, it does not mean that we are saying the government is right. The government has lots of mistakes, and I'm not the one saying it. The government has lots of mistakes, and we all need to sit. That's why we need that dialogue table, so that we can bring up all these things and talk about them and say, now look, you government, this is your own problem, and this, you need to take care of this business. We are taking care of this, and then together we'll solve the problem. It's not about finger pointing. And there is no angel, there is no devil. There is no angel and there's no devil. Sure. We need to look at ourselves eyeball to eyeball and say we collectively failed in this, and you failed in that one, I failed in this, and so on. That is the approach. It's not about blaming each other. I'm not here to blame anybody, but I'm here to open up your understanding so we know where we are failing. And if you can tell me where all those are people in the diaspora who had 25 points, why they are not helping to develop industries, I'll be very grateful.
Yes, sir.
All right, you answered the question that came in from...
Unfortunately, Lasha, you see, one of the reasons in this country is tolerance of difference of opinions, and that's our bane. That's why we are even where we are today, because people would not want to also listen to other opinions and appreciate it from that perspective. What I want to say is that, again, we are talking about a Cameroonian situation where there is actually an acute problem, but we focus more on the political and leave the economic, social, and cultural. Cameroon has multifarious problems. Now, have you ever seen any other country, if not of some of these, I don't know how to call them, fourth class or fifth class country, where a head of state is visiting another country and then people are wearing party uniforms to welcome their president? Is that supposed to be a mark of patriotism, where you carry what they call segmentalism or demonstrate patriotism through militancy? That is wrong. The challenges that we have, whether it's at the level of the Anglophone crisis or the CRM issue, is that it's a Cameroonian concern. And for that Cameroonian concern is that there should be a synergy between what is happening in the diaspora and what is happening in Cameroon, which means there should be a connection. Of recent, the CRM was supposed to have a protest this Saturday. That they called it off, the one of the 13th. But while this one was being called off, the diaspora CRM militants went out. At least I saw the one in Paris where they were actually demonstrating on the street. Now just imagine that one there had a different objective to probably educate the international community in terms of diplomacy and the rest. But now, it is not the French people who are going to change the government of this country in terms of elections. It is the Cameroonian citizens who are supposed to, if they decide to change in terms of participating in the electoral process. So there should be that synergy. Why they are doing external pressure, what I call the other American who is talking about, he is going to focus now on the Cameroonian issue. It is going to be out of an external pressure, and it can only be economical. The best change, what I call it, from Algeria, Egypt, and the rest, they were all carried out by citizens of that country through massive action that they went out as citizens, active citizens. It's not about the other people that come to complement or to support those internal dynamics. So we are saying that for the diaspora to be a blessing to Cameroon, we should coalesce our energy, we should coalesce our resources. If a diaspora, let me tell you something probably you don't know, on average, every family in Cameroon today has somebody outside in Europe. But how do they channel their remittance? The money they send back through the same family members to help their family. They send back. Can we sit here and talk about a multinational that has come into this country in different regions thanks to the diaspora population? It is rare. But we are saying that we are encouraging them.
Tell you that the climate, the business climate is not there.
We don't develop a country by complaining. We develop a country by proposing alternatives. So what we are saying in this forum this evening is that let the diaspora be a blessing, and they can be a blessing.
Let the diaspora be a blessing. To you now, Mr. Edmond Kouate.
Well,
what is stopping the diaspora? Is it the government or the environment from investing?
I'm well placed to say this because I'm in the business sector.
Yeah.
So I know about the challenges people are facing out there. And let me tell you, it's very tough. It is very, very tough. Probably some few things been done to actually improve the situation, but it's not yet the case, actually. I can give you 2 or 3 examples. We don't have enough time. Maybe I will just give you one.
Go ahead.
I have a friend, actually, he's in Germany. He's working with BMW, that is a car producer in Germany. And he's one of the very big guys. He developed a very good software for BMW cars. So BMW top management, they were very, very happy because it came from a Cameroonian, from an African, and so they said, okay, what can we do actually to, as a reward? So they said, okay, we're gonna introduce this particular program in your country, in your program, in the university. And then the guy wrote a letter to the Minister of Higher Education, to tell him about, and then this was fully supported by BMW. Cameroon had nothing to do apart from saying, yes, I do agree. And then there was a program for a scholarship between Cameroon and for those students who actually decided to follow that particular branch. They were to be trained to complete their training in Germany. So the guy wrote the first letter, he sent it here to the Minister of Higher Education, no response. He sent another one, no response, and sent it again. Then he said, okay, maybe it's because I want to follow the official channel, so I will use now a private channel. Somebody would take the letter to the minister himself. Maybe the minister have never received my letter. I think there is a blockage, there is an impediment. And then he asked for my support, and then I said, okay, no problem. I know the right channel to get which is what I did. I want to stop just there, just to tell you that the minister, I am quite certain the minister received the letter. I don't want to tell you the answer. What he said, it is very nasty. I don't want to say it here. But just to tell you, after that, the program has never been implemented in Cameroon. Never. The program has never been implemented. And BMW was very disappointed. And you know what? The program is now implemented in Rwanda.
And it is doing well.
And they're doing well. And it is thanks to that program that BMW finally, you know that they are actually, there is a assembly plan is thanks to that program. And this is something that Cameroon should have benefited, actually.
So is it because we are not patriotic? Can we say patriotism is one of the factors?
It is simply to tell you how poisonous our policies, our public policies has been to the, to the development of the diaspora. Not only diaspora, but even Cameroonian, even we living in Cameroon. There is no good policy. If we don't have good public policies,
texts written down. Forget
about the text. We can sit here and write the best text in the world, but if we cannot apply them, if we cannot make sure these are actually accurately implemented in the field, it is a bunch of useless text. So I'm just trying to tell you that if a government does not have that, that mind, that spirit to actually conceive good policies, with patriotism, that we want to do something, we want to achieve something, don't blame anybody. It is very easy to actually blame people. I am telling you, you have very good guys there. Doctor knows what I'm talking about. He's been abroad. These are guys who have been living in abroad. We all know them. If they're not coming back, it's not because they hate Cameroon so much. If they're not coming back, it's not because they are a bunch of useless guys. If they're not coming back...
Maybe because of dual nationalities. Our country, most of them, they give up their nationality when they get out of the country.
No.
Can we say that is a contributing factor?
It could be, but still, it falls on what I'm saying about public policies. If actually somebody has, achieved another nationality, there is a way to bring him back and to use him properly. There is a way. There is always a way to arrange things, actually to favor, the return of people. Maybe they have achieved this, another nationality because of, actually some conditions they want to actually have, they want to be integrated, they want to. So don't blame them for that.
Can I chip in and say something?
Of course,
let me just chip in and say something.
Of course,
to help Edmond with, as you were speaking, Edmond, I was listening to you and trying to figure out where the problem was with this young man. And I think I can understand it. The problem comes from, there's a disconnection. I'm saying it because I'm from the family of the Ministry of Higher Education, and it's very easy to blame the Minister of Higher Education because of that. But I'm trying to wear his shoes and I see where the problem is coming from. Because government has put in some policies and so many other things, and if you don't know those policies, when you are bringing something to give them and you're not following that channel, it creates a lot of problems. And if you have read that book, Why A students work for C students and B students work for government, you would understand where the problem is from. I want to think of your friend in Germany. If we had met before, he would have used a different channel and have been a great thing. Maybe. Let me explain. What government is doing now, let us start off by saying that state universities have failed. Okay?
Definitely.
Yeah. That's a statement of fact. One or two people have made it, but state universities taken as a whole have failed.
Definitely.
That means if you take 100 of students graduating with masters from our university and compare them with 100 students graduating from German University or South Korea, what are our own that's the measure.
Sure.
So we are saying that our university system have failed. Definitely. And your friend was bringing something high-tech. So he was bringing something new high-tech and trying to put it in a container. You don't put new wine in old wine skins. That's what he was trying to do.
Yep.
But now what is the government and the ministry trying to do? The government since 2002, I know this very well because I'm part of it, there is the concept now of private higher education. What your friend was bringing was going to fit into that mold of private higher education, but he was trying to put it in the public institutions, which doesn't work because they don't have the capacity to receive it. So it was stressing the minister. If he had come and if your friend had been an entrepreneur, he would have realized that it was an opportunity for him to create the school and create the industry. He didn't have a money problem. All he needed to do was go to the minister. Mr. Minister, I'm bringing technology from Germany. I have this German university and these companies that want to help us. The minister would have laid him a red carpet. But he didn't use that. He wanted it to the minister to take it and implement it, which he not. Which he couldn't. That's where the problem came. Is it making some sense?
Maybe.
So I'm saying this to encourage our brothers and sisters that please come over. Open as many schools of technology as you want, because the schools of technology we have now are not really, it's still theory. We want that technology to come, and don't get discouraged.
Okay, Doctor, let's take some few messages. This one says, all those in the diaspora are the ones corrupting children in Cameroon, making the Anglophone crisis to go more further. I am Dinabel in Douala. This other one says, nice discussion, but to be honest, our government is a government of self-interest. All the Anglophones ministers and Senate don't care about their people. Cletus in Bamenda. This other one says, Doctor, please, they can... The message is missing. I take this other one. Hello everyone, it is Ndumelo from Bamenda. How can the diaspora support the industries back home or support anything back home when the political, economical and social climate is very bad? The tax policy in Cameroon is terrible. Take this other one. Hello brother, your discussion is good, but I have a problem. Please, when you live in a country like Cameroon that people pay taxes more than what they gain, how can we invest in this kind of country?
No,
thank you. This is Oscar from Yaoundé. This other one says...
France is 75% taxes. People don't.
This other one says, Lasha, hi, I appreciate you guys. I am so glad with Mr. Kwate. Many diaspora have the minds to come back and invest, but the corrupt BS government taxation and personal and personal. Please, can I continue with the message? Yeah, but the corrupt government of taxation and personal interest and bribery have killed their desire, and that is why they are fighting to change things for good. I advise you guys not to invite, the message is missing, not to invite to offer James from, this is James from Marumba. The message is not clear. Let's take this other one. The beer government don't go down. Cameroon shall never go higher. MC Pride from Yaoundé. This other one says, I differ with some of the speakers who tries to compare a diaspora using his personal money to develop his village and a minister using state money to develop only his village. Secondly, tax situation in Cameroon is very unfavorable for any development by the diasporans, so we should not blame them. Charles from Moliko Boya. We continue with the discussion.
The issue, last year, before we even go, Cameroonians, especially people, have developed the ABC syndrome that is so easy: accuse, blame, and condemn. Let us educate ourselves first, that especially in these taxation issues, taxes are higher out there more than they are in this country.
Sure.
So how do people survive
the
outside?
issue is Cameroonians don't go out to even understand our simple tax or whether complicated tax policy or whatever thing. It is an issue for them to move towards the tax officers. And remember, in this country, taxation is declarative, which means you go and tell the tax person what you are hoping to make as a, whether it's as a turnover, the regime you want to belong, and the rest. And based on what you declare, they tax you a percentage of that. We should, no system is perfect, What we should be able, because now I'm using now the pedagogic approach.
Yeah.
Because we can go home now and say that nothing can work. The diaspora can be a blessing in this country once they start learning how to work as partners with the people who understand the local environment very well. You see, doctor said something there. It is easier for you because even a foreigner cannot head a company in this country, but you can have a partnership with a Cameroonian national who is going to represent you with 51% and you can wear 49%. That makes you a serious partner and you do business in this country. It exists everywhere. And again, let us make it very clear. If you're a diaspora and you take a foreign nationality, you automatically lose your Cameroonian nationality. That's the law.
But they have been clamoring for that.
Yeah, but as now, that is the situation. So, but what we are saying is that we don't break a law, we can bend the law by using other strategies. You don't focus on what is wrong and don't look at what could be right. And what could be right is always present in every side of a coin. There's another side. Let us take this program this evening to encourage our brothers and sisters outside there. They have done marvelously. I want to let you know that there are many health centers, there are many water systems that have been constructed thanks to funds donated by cultural.
When it comes to the Anglophone crisis,
they are also contributing in their own way. What I am saying is that if not of the social media, we wouldn't have known what, especially those guys, what they did at the level of the embassies. But again, you look at the impact of what they did in the embassy, the reverberation that is creating around the whole world. That is a condemnable issue because even at the level of international law, you don't violate an embassy. Take the case now of the Anglophone crisis per se.
Yes.
This crisis is having international visibility thanks to the Anglophone diaspora. Now, what do we do now with that popular diplomacy that they have been able to sensitize the international community? Is that the solution is now, how do we now harness that external visibility now to concretize the local energy by organizing structures whereby within they can now also influence now the internal dynamics, either using whatever. Look, there's a proposal that came out from, I think, Cardinal Toomey and
for the Anglophone General
How
Conference.
would you explain the fact that Eddie Smith, one of the spokesperson, goes out there to sensitize the diaspora? He's being shouted at because they don't tolerate or divergent opinion and all of that. We need this divergent opinion so that someday, whether it's going to be secession or it's going to be a federation or it's going to be decentralization, once the cards are put on the table, we will be able to decide where the wind is going to blow, and it can happen only with
Do you
Cameroonian
think the diaspora, the Cameroonian diaspora, is willing to talk?
Again, that's a good question that you're asking. But again, it takes two to tango. When we are talking about dialogue, dialogue means that two parties must be present for that dialogue to be successful. But we are saying that this country, whether it's going to reach at what particular point, there's going to be some talking. And that talking should include every Cameroonian. But I am saying that as of now, if the Cameroonian constitution says that if you take a second nationality, you automatically lose your Cameroonian nationality,
all right.
You are not
Mr. Edmund
qualified now to be part of that dialogue.
Why is it that the Cameroonian diaspora is not willing to dialogue, to talk? Is this popular impression that people have that the diaspora, they are not willing to talk?
Well, if you want to talk of particularly the Anglophone diaspora, because if we have to, the Anglophone diaspora, there are things we have to understand.
Yeah.
There is a lot of frustrations. There have been a lot of frustration. Let me tell you, in 1972, we decided to have in Cameroon two educational systems, the Anglophone system and the Francophone system. But one of the mistakes that has been made, I don't know if it was a mistake or it was deliberately decided. But what I know, the question I will ask you, for long, in the 1990s, up to 2000, I don't know when a student from the Anglophone system, when he finished at the upper sixth, where was he supposed to go?
The University of Yaoundé.
Which was there any...
The Lone University
for
at
what?
that time.
And he had there were two alternatives. Either he becomes francophonized, it means he has to take at least 2 years to catch a bit of French to be able to follow what they are saying at school during the class, or he completely abandoned the school because actually he cannot pick up what they are saying. That was the only problem. Be it in the technical, what was the what was the institution that was supposed to welcome these students from the Anglophone system? None. That's why you have a lot of them in Nigeria, Ghana, United States, UK. That was the only alternative. And those who were not, that didn't have that means actually to go out, they had no option. Either they come to Yaoundé, they spend some time, they turn around, and then after they just forget about everything. That is the problem. So there was a lot of frustration. We have to know our society. We have to know our... If you want to study
so what are you insinuating?
I'm insinuating that these guys, they were frustrated. They have been frustrated. So that is why they became radicalized.
But now their cries have been heard. Why can't they sit down and dialogue with
that
the government?
Is it. They should be. The way we want to go about it is not the good way. When there are problems like this, I once told some people, what I'm seeing as solution bringing so far, they are creating commission. It doesn't work. Even what you are calling commission of disarmament, demobilization.
He's giving the impression that the Anglophone just refusing to dialogue.
No.
For example, when Cardinal Ntumi came up with this issue of AGC, we all saw what the diaspora did. Actually, they called him all sort of names.
Actually, the dialogue, the protagonist in this situation,
but the government is
the sitting government, which is position of decentralization, and the Anglophone, whether within or without, that they started with federation or federalism. And today, because nobody listened to them, and they have gone now to extreme of secession. So the dialogue is supposed to be between the systems, federalism, decentralization, and the extreme position, which is secession.
Let me tell you something. The way thing has been going since 1966, because things started crumbling in 1966. Many people don't know that, because after the referendum of 1961 that we agreed of certain things, there was a constitution and there were certain provisions. 1962, Aidjo took a law which was very, very severe.
Anti-terrorism law.
Anti-terrorism law. That was already to tell Anglophone, stop that, your nonsense. In 1966, they decided of the single party. That was to actually tell the Anglophones, forget about all what you call party. That is, legally they don't have that tool that they need to actually claim everything. Legally, they cannot. It is either they integrate the single party or they leave it. In 1972, after the referendum, it was agreed that if the first personality of the country, which is the president of the republic, is a francophone, the second one should be an anglophone. And by then, John Goufoncha was the president of National Assembly. He was the second in command. He was the second in command. And one of the provisions of our constitution said, in case of vacancy of the first guy, then the second guy should take over. This was changed in 1975, I think, when Aidjo created the prime ministry, and then Biya was the first prime minister of Cameroon. In that system, this was changed, and then it was decided that in case of vacancy, then the prime minister should take over without the consent of the Anglophone party. That is why John Goufoncha was very bitter at the end of the day. So you're
saying that it is because of this systematic...
And finally in 1994, Mr. Biya decided to actually cancel a République Unie du Cameroun to a République du Cameroun. Simply, it means the Republic has... That's what I'm saying, 1984. He canceled it without asking the other party. If you put by decree, if you put all these facts together, Anglophone today believe that there is no more trust There is no more confidence.
So what is the way forward?
The way forward?
There's no more trust. What is the way forward?
Yes, there's no more trust, and that's why we are where we are today. And
listen, it does not matter what has happened, there must be that dialogue. There must be a dialogue, whether we like it or not. Whether in the next 100 years there must be a dialogue.
The question many people are asking is how?
Well, if you are asking the how and you are genuine, the how is there. But if you are asking it,
because the government is not willing.
Well, they might not be willing.
The agitators are not willing as well.
Listen, there's an adage in Pidgin: if you not play politics, politics will play you. So if you can understand that, it's not, life is not always about you. No. I mean, we should be very clear about that. It doesn't matter what you think, what you say, what you are going for. Is it the truth? Because the issue in this country has been a crisis of truth. Is it the truth? If it's not the truth, sooner or later the truth will catch up with you. And therefore, if you want to be healthy, if you want to do your things, just follow the truth. It's very easy. If you follow the truth, there's no problem. But if you try to cover the truth, you're not going to go very far. Time will catch up with you.
Sure.
And the issue of this problem is a crisis of truth. If we could come back to truth and do everything that we do in truth, there will be no problem.
Sure.
So there's the truth, there's love, and respect for each other.
Exactly.
What is in a dialogue? Dialogue doesn't mean we'll be eating up. We are not lying there eating up.
At the level of your CBDM party, what are you guys doing?
No, but you know the problem with CBDM is that there are many people there who don't tell the truth, and that's what I'm talking about. Well, I'm CBDM. I like the truth. Maybe I would die for the truth, but the issue is
okay.
Actually,
let me take some. All right,
if you
make your
one
point.
second. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Actually, in this case, when there is no more trust between two parties, there must be a third party. There must be a mediator. So if we think that today we can put the government and these other guys together, there is no trust. They think they will always be deceived. They don't trust the government anymore. So it is either it is not the same government, then they can pay attention, which is not what I'm saying, but or if it is the same government, there must be a mediator, there must be a third party actually to witness what has been decided. So that is why we are saying that there should be what they call a group of contact that will actually go out there and talk to this diaspora, tell them and put them in confidence and tell them, please look, you must, because there is no other alternative apart from talking together. There is no other alternative.
There is no other alternative apart from talking together. Let's take these other messages that are coming in. Nice discussion, but to be honest, our government is a government of self-interest. All the Anglophone ministers and Senate don't care about their country. This other one says, our government needs a general cleansing of all its citizens, and corruption has entered deeply into the fabric of Cameroon. Tax-free in Cameroon should be imposed. Pechangwe George in Yaoundé. This other one says, good evening, gentlemen. You guys are doing great, but I differ with one of the panelists who says he knows all the Anglophone diaspora has been preaching dialogue from the onset of this crisis. Why is he talking as if he is out of some people? Joseph from Tiku. Greetings, good discussions. The major problem we have in Cameroon is that we are not truthful to ourselves. I lay much emphasis on being truthful to ourselves. The person did not sign the message. This other one says, greetings to you guys on board. Lies telling has brought us to this level, and it will take us to the worst if we don't speak the truth. We play belly politics. Rema Emil in Moliko. This other one says, believe me, if those in the diaspora if those in the diaspora were at home, the government of this country could have long jailed them all. So the diaspora act like a steering force towards truth and justice. and justice realization in the Anglophone problem. For example, Mantro BBC is serving 15 years jail term today just because he reacted at home, for which it could have been safer for him abroad. The message the person did not also sign. Please, we want to remind you that when you are sending us your message, you should make sure that you sign the message so we know where you're actually writing from and who is writing to us. This other one says, what are your plans for Easter? Husband. Very funny message there. Greetings, I am Jonathan DJ from Kumba. The problem is that our stakeholders are very wicked because they don't love youths. Doctor?
Yes, I think I agree with that young man who says we don't. The adults now and whoever, they don't really love youth, because if the real problem that is brewing in the country, the Anglophone problem apart, the MRC problem apart, the Northerners problem apart, is there's another problem that is brewing that we are not paying attention to, is the youth problem, and I keep saying it. It's true the government has been trying to do a couple of things to help the youth, but they need to do more, and they need to look at the strategies again. So many youths are growing, and they are not able to follow their developmental milestones because the environment is not conducive for them to do so. You see someone at 25, 30 still living in the father's house because he's not able to look after himself, let alone getting married. So we need to make sure that we can support the youths, do what is right, so that as these youths are getting mature, they can found their own families, build their own homes, have their own businesses, create their own jobs, and so on. We've created a system which gives the impression that we are not in the civil service, you've failed. You've created a system where you must pass the concours to go to this school, big school or that one. If you are not part of that, then you are no good. And we need to do something about it. We need to transfer technology very quickly. We need to train our youths very quickly so that they develop the capacity to solve problems and earn their own money. We have not done that, so the Chinese come and are taking our jobs. I'm not referring to the thing in South Africa. Sorry. I'm not sure if they're as mean as that. No. Those guys in South Africa are very mean. Honestly, they're wicked. But what I'm saying is that we have to train our own so that they can be gainfully employed, they can look after their families and so on. And that means revamping the whole educational system. When you look at the country and you see, like in the north, there are no classrooms. The people are still under thatched roofs. In the east, there's nothing, and so on. And then we are still going around. It's very unfortunate. Then even in big cities, there's overcrowding and so on. We need to actually address the youth problems in Cameroon. It's true we have a Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Youth Education, but they are not getting at the core of the thing at all.
Good evening, Johnson Esun from Kumba. As concerns the Anglophone crisis, the people in the diaspora are blessing. They are the people that have opened the eyes of the international communities that there is a serious problem in southern Cameroon. The government of Cameroon is using the military to brutalize peaceful demonstrators. The voices of southern Cameroons would have never been heard if not of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Edmund Kwete, this other question to you. How can what has been the contribution of the Cameroonian diaspora in terms of job creation, if you have to assess?
You mean job created by guys
by the diaspora?
No, actually, you cannot really. The statistics are very poor, very, very poor. You cannot really. We don't even have accurate figures about what the.
But do we have some companies in Cameroon that we can call ours? Those who are in abroad?
No, I don't think. Maybe those who started. There are some startups that we got. Unfortunately, this madness from in the northwest and southwest stopped them, because we had some very good things already developing in the southwest with the new technologies and so on. We had, I mean, it was very good what people were doing there. I think most of them were coming from abroad, and which was very good. We call it the Silicon Valley of Southwest. Yeah, they were doing very good, and I think I had the privilege to visit them at once, and I saw what they were doing. Them was very good. That was the first time I was seeing the Cameroonian, you know, doing such very good things. But it's unfortunate that when this madness started, they had to stop everything because, you know, there was this internet disconnection all the time, so they could not, you know. And I think today they have stopped most of their activities, which is very sad. But sincerely, in terms of statistics, the diaspora hasn't done enough in the country. And
so they are cursed.
They are not a curse, like I said. It depends the way you use them. You know, if the world as a whole is a battle, you can have the most efficient weapon in the field, and if you fail to use it, if somebody have a knife, we defeat you. That's a problem. That's what I'm saying. We are not making good use. We are not making good use of our diaspora. You know, because we have very. If you see what Cameroonians are doing out there in very big corporations, in very big companies, we have Cameroonians in the United States in very top positions. I know them, but if you don't ask them to come to Cameroon, if you don't have a project with them in Cameroon, what do you expect from them? I mean, he's there. He's having a very good life standard, and he will stay there. That's all. He will stay there because he doesn't care. I mean, he's organizing his life and the life of his family. That's all. But now, if you want, because most of the time, and he was saying it, 10%, even less than 10% of our people out there, they have received a scholarship. It means 90% they have gone there by their own means or by the family trying to sell a piece of land or to bury some money here and there. And don't expect this guy after all this to, you know, to be saying I'm a Cameroonian, I want to think about Cameroon. Forget about it. We should not be magicians here. We should be realistic. When people invest a lot of money to go out there, what they achieve is they achieve it first for their own family. I was telling you, I was making the difference between our diaspora and a diaspora like Chinese diaspora. I'm telling you, Chinese government has invested a lot of money to send guys out there, and we make sure he follow them because he knows why he has invested this money and he expects to have a return on this investment. That's why he makes sure he follows them year in, year out to make sure they brings back why they've been sent out there. But we in Cameroon, the government has no mission, no vision. So don't expect these guys to take an initiative, a personal initiative to say we are going to develop Cameroon. Forget about it. The first thing they want to do is to make sure they, you know, they have a good life for themselves and for their family. And if from time to time they can send a bit of money back home to sustain the family, that's the best they can do. But now don't expect them to say, oh, we're going to develop Cameroon, we want to do this. And sometimes those who have this, this idea, they don't have, there's no fertile ground, you know, to welcome them, to welcome their initiative. And that is why most of them are frustrated. And that is why you see them demonstrating on the street here and there in Europe, in the United States and so on, because they are frustrated, because they have been trying to carry out some initiative without any success. So don't blame I don't blame this guy much. And they say everything depends on the vision that we have. Even locally we don't have. There's no vision. If they ask you all these guys coming out from the universities every day, from Polytechnic, from all these our big institutions, where do they go? If they ask you that question, where do they go? And I agree with Doctor when he say our educational system has entirely failed. Entirely, because this is a country where we train people without any plan, without any program. We don't know. If you say Polytechnics is producing 100 engineers per year, and they ask what is the purpose of this engineer, and how do we see it concretely? How do we see their achievement? How do we see them operate concretely in the field? Nothing. It means there was no vision, there was no plan in producing these engineers. Today you will say, if you ask a student, what are you reading in the United States? I'm reading this. And if you go back now and see if the government has a particular plan for this particular discipline, there is not, it doesn't exist. At the end of the day, the guy will be graduated, he will have a diploma, he will go and sit, and he will start telling you, I'm looking for a job. It is a shame for our country. We have failed completely. Our public policies have failed. There is no vision, there is no plan, there is no program.
Right.
So don't blame anybody.
Yeah, Mr. Mufo, if you were to advise the government of Cameroon on what to do so that we get the Cameroonian diaspora involved in the day-to-day running of the life of the nation Cameroon, what will you tell the government?
Simple. I think the first thing which our governments presently have not taken advantage of is the issue of institutional change in terms of our constitution. To me, I don't see any reason why a Cameroonian, because he takes another nationality, both for convenience, he should lose automatically his Cameroonian citizenship.
Of course not.
I want to say that the government should rethink that policy of its refusal to adopt dual nationality for its citizens. Secondly, on the other side, you know, there is what they call peer-to-peer talking.
Yeah.
There's no way you take somebody of another generation, 60, 70 years old, to solve a problem of people who are below 40, 35, and all of that. And the average Cameroonian diaspora, they are the people who were liberated, quote unquote, after the 1990 university reforms in this country, where they had now to undertake now different educational studies, because the most dangerous person is somebody who is seemingly given an illusion that he has studied and then he cannot be useful. That person becomes the most dangerous person, because one of the things I want us to know is that the same skill, the same knowledge that you take to break a house, that you take to scam, is that same knowledge, that same skill that you can take to do something productive and positive. So it is based on the fact that these persons who have acquired the resources, the intellect, and all the other investment that they have had, and they are looking for a way now to implant and start a new life to provide solution, and it is not there. And then every other way, every other place is blocked. How do you explain the fact that you have a country where one person will be having 3, 4, 5 positions? The person is not even having 2 heads. He's not even having 4 hands. But there are other people who are better trained, better educated, who just need just one of those positions so that they can also contribute in the development of their country. Finally, I want to say this in terms of visibility. When the government is drawing its development plans, instead of talking about foreign direct investment that involves only probably other multinationals and Americans, Europeans, they should also make, because the diaspora can only be motivated if they are told that X percentage of the GDP is coming from their remittance. All what they remit in terms of financial transfer, they are usually informal. The government can even capture to even put that in terms of weight and measure and value in terms of the development of its national economy. And that's all blind economy that is missing, that you cannot do any. For you cannot measure. Yes, good. You cannot measure what you don't see. So when all of this is missing, the people who are at the leadership perspective now, they just see the diaspora as noisemakers, as nuisance, and all that. People have a very, very important role to play in the development of this country.
Okay, this one says, hello, is Mr. Mighty from Kumba. In 1961, there was the Fumban Conference which postulated a 2 equal state federation. From 1972, things turned around and made Cameroon a unitary state. Things get worse in 1982. From 1982 till date, Cameroonians as a whole, and Anglophones in particular, are seeming slave to the present regime. If a minister can embezzle 50 million and above tour allowances for ministerial secretary general alone, when analyzed, can employ 2,000 Cameroonians with 100 francs as salary for 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, where is this country heading to? If Anglophones were considered as Cameroonians, Biya could not have declared war on them. The government resistance to dialogue is a sign to prove weakness on the side of the government. However, I hail the diaspora for the brilliant effort making the crisis known internationally. Doctor, we are rounding up. Maybe your last word?
Yes, I would like to actually congratulate the diaspora to say that
many of them are doing their best. Some can improve. And there are many who have been trying to help themselves back at home, in the sense that they will send money and say, let this brother or this uncle build a house for me. But you know what has been going on. The brother or the uncle takes the money because we are all 419. He builds his own house and then marries himself a second wife. And then when the man shows up, there is nothing to show. And that has been very discouraging. And I'm saying that we should support our brothers in the diaspora who are trying to help us, in the sense that please be honest and truthful. When, you know, they struggle a lot. Sometimes we think that they are there, they have a lot of money, they just go around and pick money from trees. No, they work very hard to earn that money. And then when the money is sent to you to use, let's say, please brother, can you just make a nice house for me? Do that so that your brother can come and have a place to stay. We are not really helping them. It's a joint effort where we really need to support them. And here I want to also thank Madame Miranda Oben. She is in Germany. She's an engineer, an IT engineer. And you know, she's been putting together for the last 3 years now this program she calls the Returnees Program, and where she's been trying to encourage many of the people in the diaspora to come back home and invest. It does not mean that you should leave the diaspora and come here, but put one foot here and one foot out there so that things can be happening. You know, it's time for me to even say that there's a family, a very big family in Bamenda, I will not call the name, and one of the children was boasting. He said, we have about 90 of us from this family in America, and when you go to Bamenda, there is nothing to show for their being in America, and they're actually very rich there. And it's time for me to say that if you're an if you're a Cameroonian and you're in America, even if you own half of New York and you are doing nothing for Cameroon, it's useless. Thank you.
Your last word?
My last word is that, well, I'd like to encourage both the government and the diaspora, the people there, to stop this madness. We don't need that, Cameroon. We don't need that in Cameroon. I watched some videos on social medias today. It was very sad, damn nasty. I can't, you know, we have to stop this madness. Really, I encourage both the government and the guys in the diaspora to really find a way forward, you know, for a dialogue, for an inclusive dialogue. Our brothers are suffering out there. Our mothers are suffering. Our sisters are suffering. We should stop this madness. We deserve more than this. I agree, there have been many things going on. I agree there have been a brutal marginalization of some of our brothers in the Southwest and Northwest, and I agree of that, but you know, we are all brothers and sisters. We living in the same country. This country belongs to us. We have to, you know, let bygone be bygone and then start.
Bygones be bygones.
Yeah, we really let bygone be bygone and then start something new and build up a new Cameroon, a new country.
I just want to thank you for this particular debate this evening, to let us know that whether it is a blessing or a curse, one cannot exist without the other, but we should be encouraging ourselves this evening that we can all be a blessing to the other if we are our neighbor's keeper. So let us synergize and contribute, whether we are within or without our own resources, and have as one focus development.
Dr. Nee, thanks for coming.
It's been a pleasure, and it was nice being with you today and looking at this topic.
Mr. Emo Kwete, it was equally a pleasure having you.
As you know, it's a shared pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
We've come to the end of the program, televiewers. If you missed the program, you can watch the rebroadcast tomorrow, same time on this same channel. For all those who got to us through SMS, we want to say thank you wherever you're watching us. It's goodbye from this end.